Hello and welcome to the Weekly Element. I'm your intrepid host, Sergeant Pancakes, you can call me Jay. And as always, with me I have the irreplaceable
Elemental Dynamics / Mark Sassman / sexiest dude you're ever gonna meet / not vain / very humble guy.
absolutely everything you just heard is true. There's no fake news on the Weekly Element. So Mark, how have you been? Wait a second. It's not next week. It's next many weeks. What happened?
Yeah, things kind of got a little crazy out there. No internet,
But that's
storms, all
life.
kinds of stuff. Yeah, but we are back, episode 5. I'm excited, and hopefully there won't be any more breaks.
We're not gonna let a simple thing like Mother Nature stop us.
Nah, screw Mother Nature.
So, as this is, well, I guess it's not a weekly question, but it's the next question. You and I, we're big nerds, right? I seem to bring this up every week, but
I'm a very big nerd.
as big nerds, we've also got big opinions and big love of many big fandoms. So, if you could make one thing that doesn't exist for any fandom you're a part of, it can be a video game, it can be a show, it can be a movie. What would you make of anything? Like, I'm talking a Star Wars MMO set in the post-Empire days. I'm talking the Mandalorian RPG we never got. I'm talking an X-Men RPG where you fight either alongside the X-Men or the Brotherhood of Mutants, a la X-Men Destiny, but a good game this time. If you were put in charge of such a thing, what direction would you take with it?
So I've actually had this conversation with many people, and I feel like it would be a great thing. I feel like there should be a Marvel game similar, kind of like to the DC Universe game, but like with effects and mechanics like Red Dead and things like that. Like a just straight giant open world Marvel Universe game where you can do things, interact, and just have a legitimate time playing as a character, or it would have to be like a single player game, kind of like Red Dead Redemption, where so you could like pick a character that you want to play as, or if not, like I said, like DC Universe Online, except better, where you can create your own.
You know what I would make?
Within the world of Marvel and do things with the characters. Like you can make yourself like a version of whatever character you want to play in the Marvel universe and be like that. See that hero's like unofficial sidekick or something. I don't know. And I think there could be.
How have we not
version.
gotten a Marvel MMO? Like how? How is it possible?
I think the closest we got was a few years ago. It was an online.
Marvel Omega.
Not Omega. It was why can't I think about what it was? Marvel superheroes? I don't know. It was online. It was a browser game, I believe. And you literally were, it was just that. It was like a down overhead view, like Ultimate Alliance, and you just played as the character. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, it's called Marvel Heroes Omega.
Heroes Omega. That was a mobile game, I thought. But either way it goes, yeah. Something like that. That's the answer. I want a Marvel, open world, Marvel game. MMO. Not necessarily MMO, just, yeah. Either a single player that plays like Red Dead Redemption 2 or stuff like that, because there's so many open world games out there that are just so good that, like, man, if they just had this in a Marvel universe, that would be great. Like, you know, you got the Horizon games, or like I was saying,
yeah. And the Marvel universe is so rich and so deep, it's nuts that we can't explore it.
You could legitimately make that kind of game, and I don't care if it is a single player. I mean, you look at the Spider-Man games, for example. Those games are amazing. They're just open world within the city limits, but like imagine a game like that, but literally the entirety of the Marvel universe. Like, I believe it can be done. I know it hasn't been done. I know there's a lot of logistics in doing it, but I feel like there can be a game that offers that. I mean, look at something like No Man's Sky or something like. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a super amazing, beautiful. No, it just has to be something where you can just keep going to it and keep doing it over and over and over again. And then, yeah, like, but That's
I
what
feel like the closest we've gotten was the Lego Marvel games. They kind of had that. You can play as any
100%.
character in Marvel.
100%.
You have the world, but
That right there, that's a perfect example. Just do that, but better. Because the
but not
Marvel,
Lego.
not Lego, but the Lego Marvel games were definitely more for like kids have fun, just joke, just good time. But like something like that would be even doper. Yeah, something like that would be great because you can just.
You know what I would
different-
love?
What?
A world where the things that happen in the comics happen. And what I mean is like I had this vision in my head before Spider-Man 2 came out last year where like the supervillains we fought in the last game would constantly be breaking out of the raft and we would be able to fight them in the open world. Like can you imagine playing as Spider-Man and you like get the random crime notification that's just like Scorpion is robbing a bank or Shocker is on a thing and you need to catch him. Dude, that's like my dream game. A game where you can like live in that comic world and just like almost a comic immersive sim. That's what I would love.
100%, something like that. Like, and then obviously, so like for example, when Marvel's Avengers came out, I genuinely did like the story and I liked the direction it went. However, the gameplay of that game was so butt. Like it was repetitive. It was I mean, literally, like I said, give me a Red Dead Redemption type, play
World
with Marvel, but also give it, and now that you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't even have to be an online game. I wouldn't. It's fine if I do an MMO, yes, where you could play as characters, kind of like DC Universe Online. But I want a game, Marvel game that is kind of like Red Dead Redemption, doing with the structure of how Lego Marvel stuff was. Specifically, the second Lego Marvel game or the first Lego Marvel game, where it's like you could go around the whole. Either way it goes, because you could do that. I mean, yeah, it would take a lot of process. There's a lot that would go in it, but I feel like if they were to actually eventually do that, that would be amazing. So that's my answer.
I would never leave my house. I would just play that all day.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, same. Like the only other thing that comes to mind is like, first of all, I love that we both thought of video games because like that's where our heads at.
Right.
I would love a TMNT game where you don't play as just one of the turtles. Like that's the most annoying part for me about TMNT games. Like so many TMNT games out, the last two that came out, the newest ones. In both of them you can play in 4-player co-op and then you're all 4 turtles, which is fantastic. But then if you want to play by yourself, you can't have like AI companions. You're just like one turtle, and that's so sad.
Yeah.
Because then what happens is when you're playing with your friends, then everyone fights over who gets to be Leonardo and Raphael. And then the chill guy is just going to be Michelangelo anyway. And then Donatello's the last pick.
The last thing I want to get in when it comes to those kind of games, same like TMNT, is like, man, like the online games are fun, the multiplayer games are fun when you're doing it with team. But like the thing is, if you set it to where it's like only that, and then you do, because that was how like Marvel Avengers, it's like it was a multiplayer game. Like if after you were done with the story, if you wanted to play it, you had to play with other people. It was just not with the other people because it was like you're getting the AI stuff, and then so.
And it's like, as a dude with a job, it's so hard to get, like, and I know this sounds really, like, petty and small, but, like, getting 4 people to constantly sync their schedules up and, like, play a game, it's just so much logistics that's just unnecessary. Let me have AI companions so that when I get home from work and I'm sweaty and I'm dirty and I'm tired, I can play, like, 15 minutes. The game, I don't need to worry about trying to get people online. I can just play it, you know? That's what I want.
Right.
Also a Transformers game. Give me more Transformers games, please.
Oh, there's actually been
with character customization.
There's been a few Transformers games that I played that were pretty dope. Like there was the one that was like they were on Cybertron in it. So the Transformer games, they've been hit or miss, but there was one a while back.
Yeah, the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron were hype, but like I want a full-on Transformers RPG. Like that's another dream of mine.
Yeah.
Speaking of Transformers 1.
Oh, we're jumping right into the movie stuff. Cool.
Transformers 1 is coming out, and
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, and as you know, when I saw the trailer, I messaged you, and I think my exact words were something along the lines of, "Mark, we've hit peak fiction." It's just, I'm so excited for it.
I am too, and the thing I'm more excited for the fact that like I feel like this is gonna be definitely a different telling. This is a new version of it. It's the same characters, new version, but like having it be like a buddy,
So new.
yeah, having it be like a buddy kind of thing where Megatron and Optimus were friends and they went on this journey together, and then like watching it's gonna be cool because when you think about the dynamic of Megatron and Optimus Prime through over the years, through all the cartoons and all the movies, like I've always thought there had to have been some kind of like these guys aren't just that like that with each other. There had to have been a past there, and I don't think there's ever really been any past. And I could be wrong, but from all my experiences of Transformers stuff, I never remember there being anything where it was like a definitive background of how Megatron and Optimus became the mortal
in the
enemies
80s show, there was an episode where they explored how Orion Pax became Optimus Prime. And then in Transformers Prime, there was a whole episode where Optimus lost his memory, and he and Megatron pretended to be friends again. But I think, like, the most definitive version of, like, the Optimus and Megatron relationship and showing how that develops and then is broken is in the IDW comics.
Right. And I'm gonna be real.
And it's so good.
Chris Hemsworth is Optimus Prime. I buy it.
I'm here for it. Like when they were doing the interviews and talking about Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime, I was against it. I was like, I cannot see how this works. And then there was one quote where they were like, are you going to do the Spider-Verse art style? Is it going to be more like a DreamWorks art style? What are you going to do with the movie? And he said, this is something that hasn't exactly been done before. And I was like, yeah. When I saw the trailer, I was sold. I was like, this is big talk, but it looks like they're backing it up.
It looks good. Like, I like how they picked. Yeah, it's cool. It looks good. I'm pretty excited for it. But yeah.
And another thing, I know this is also in our topics too. We finally got a look at like one of the biggest, most discussed topics in nerd culture for the last year, which is David Corenswet as Superman. We got a look at him in his suit. We got a little bit of a taste of what the movie's gonna look like, and I don't love the suit.
See, okay, yeah, I agree. Like, go ahead, say your part. Yes, I'm on the same page as you. I'm glad you said that.
It's just like, so it's not that I don't like David Corenswet as Superman. I am sold on him as the character. I think he is him. It's just, I don't think that if you look at like where he's putting on his boots, right? His suit looks very thick. Right. And when I look at this image of David Corenswet in his Superman suit, this guy looks to me like a really good cosplay. That's the vibe it gives me. This is like really expensive, really professionally done cosplay. There's something about it I can't put my finger on that makes it not feel real yet. And I'm hoping in the movie it looks better. They touch it up with CGI a little. They play around with it a bit. It's like damaged and stuff. I was hoping for a more clean blue look for Superman, so I don't know where they're going with that. Also, it looks a bit... There's something about it that it just does not feel like it... I'm just not sold yet. I love the trunks. I love the boots. I love how bright the colors are. It's just... I'm gonna need to see it in motion.
Right. So I guess we have a little bit of a difference of opinion on it, but ultimately, so my thoughts on it are this. I actually do like the design of the suit. Like, the pants are back.
Oh, for sure.
The boots, it looks like it's going to be dope when the movie comes out. My problem with it is, I think this is a crappy reveal.
For sure.
Like, when you do a reveal photo, I feel like
for Superman,
not even just for Superman, just for superheroes in general. Like, I feel like there's a responsibility to get you into like, oh yeah. So like, for example, when they released the first look at Ben Affleck as Batman, that reveal photo was amazing. When I seen that photo, I was like, oh my God. Is it gray? Is it black? Oh, we're going to get comic Batman. Like, I was super excited. When they first released the first Superman image of Henry Cavill as Superman, when he was by that vault, that looked dope as hell. So
It looked heat, but that back in the day, people were complaining about that as well. I guess it's kind of just even Brandon Ruth. Like, I think it's just the culture around Superman where people will always complain what his suit looks like.
No, for sure. Like the fact of the matter is, there's always going to be people complaining about everything, no matter how perfect or how it is. Like I said, so my thoughts on this is also too. It was just like I said. It's just I feel like after the hype of everything that's going on, I just feel like it was not the best reveal.
It's not giving the best first impression.
Yeah, but at the same time, I trust James Gunn. You know what I mean?
For sure, 100%.
I know it's gonna be legit. I know it's gonna be like a dope looking suit. I know it's gonna play well on camera. It's gonna be awesome. And a lot of people forget though, all these Superman suits in the movie, of all the movies and live action Supermans that were ever made, the most accurate depictions of his Superman suit were the Christopher Reeves and the Dean Cain version. Why? Because Superman's suit was always made by his mom.
Yeah.
So his mom made his suit. You know what I mean? Like originally, and that's how it was, and that's how they did it in the Lois and Clark Superman show during the '90s. Like she made his suit. You know what I mean? Now, why it becomes impenetrable when he wears it, I don't remember what that is. Maybe someone can tell us or whatever. But yeah, this suit.
It becomes invulnerable while he wears it because Superman actually, the comic reason anyway, he has like a little force field around his skin. Yeah. That's why it's invulnerable.
Actually, now that I think about it, I do remember there was a scene in the Lois and Clark show where their house or something gets shot up and they see the suit hanging in the closet and it's got all kinds of bullet holes. She's like, I thought it was he's like, it's only bulletproof when I'm wearing it. So I'm like, oh, okay. That makes sense. And then
you know what my favorite on-screen Superman suit is?
What?
You watched have you seen the new CW Superman show?
I like that suit. That's a good suit. But it regenerates.
It's this one. It's the one from, I think it's episode 1 where they're showing the flashbacks. And he's wearing like the Fleischer era suit, and it's just like bright blue cloth. Yeah, that's my favorite on-screen Superman suit.
Even when they did that scene, it was like they had him doing the car, the green. It's like he was like that is a good example, and that we can post a link in the description of like the picture we're talking about, if you want to take a look at it. But yeah, that's what the suit is that his mom made. So that's a good thing. So his mom made that suit, and then he upgraded to the suit we got. But yes, Taylor Hish, or whatever how you say his name, he was a pretty
Taylor Hecklin, yeah.
Hecklin, and his suit.
He was great. I loved him.
Whenever he would get cut or bleed or something happened where his suit it would heal. I was like, that's cool. I've never seen that, but yeah. Nevertheless, yeah, the new Superman suit for the James Gunn guy looks like Superman. I mean, he looks like he was born to play Superman, for sure. I've never seen him really in anything that I can think of, but he seems like he's going to be pretty good. I mean, James Gunn probably wouldn't have casted him otherwise, because so far I haven't seen James Gunn cast anybody in any of the roles he's created and not been a perfect person to play that role.
James Gunn does not miss with casting, but yeah, we've been spoiled with Superman suits lately. Like, you look at Henry Cavill's black suit from the Snyder Cut, you look at Tyler Hoechlin's suits from his show, and you look at the My Adventures with Superman suit. Like, that suit is heat. Right. And the way they combined the parts of Earth that his mom gives him with like his Kryptonian heritage, I just thought was really good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's a good suit. I think it's gonna be great either way. We could analyze the crap out of this picture, but I don't know enough what's going on. But the suit looks good. I love that they brought the trunks back. I'm just gonna say that too.
Absolutely. Like, Superman needs his underwear. But speaking of bad superhero reveals, did you see the trailer for the new Batman game? Finally we get a new Arkham game.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm not gonna talk past this. When I saw it, I was excited. I'm like, screw yes, we have a new Batman Arkham game. Oh, by the way, it's for Meta VR. Yeah, screw you guys, screw everything, forget you. You hate your fans. That's all that is. You hate your fans.
I
That's what that
ain't
is.
playing no Batman Arkham
No, you hate your
Facebook,
fans.
dude. You
hate
can't
your
make
fans.
me.
You hate your fans. That's all that tells me.
Like, at that point, when people were talking about Suicide Squad kill the Justice League, and they're like, oh, Rocksteady hates their fans, Rocksteady hates their fans, look at what they did. I was still on the fence. I was like, they don't hate their fans, and they did this, they hate their fans.
Yeah, they
like,
hate
it's
their fans.
it's dead ass.
They hate their fans. There's no way. How are you gonna have? Here's my thing: is you have a flawless series. Even the Arkham Origins game, which was probably most people's least like Arkham game, even that game was still fun. It still is fun to play. It's still good. It's still, you love it. But
The only reason people hate it is because it ran poorly on PC. That's
Exactly.
all it is.
But either way it goes, even with what it is, the Arkham games have always been a good game to play. And you have a huge fan base for it. It is across the board loved. So why would you make a new Arkham game and alienate everyone that doesn't have a VR headset? I get it,
And the thing
is,
is,
gonna make people buy more. Whatever. I don't care about all that. Like, no, I'm not.
before
playing
Suicide
VR
Squad came out, there was like much ado made about how the original creators and the like people heading up the studio left, and they were like, oh, they're abandoning the studio. And once again, you know me, I'm a skeptic and an optimist. I prefer to think of things from a different angle. But when I take that, along with the cash grabby, almost malicious way Rocksteady has been making games recently, I just can't help but think, yeah, that's gotta be it. Like, they just didn't want to see their legacy burn.
Right. And I get it. And I understand. In the entertainment industry, in the gaming industry, in the music, I get it. You can't, like, the fans aren't, they 100% dictating how you do. Like, you still got to do what you feel is right. I mean, you do. However, I feel like in that situation, though, you have to at least listen in some capacity. You have to at least give the fans something. Because the fans are the reason why you have the success you have in the first place. Because if the fans aren't consuming your stuff, you're not making money.
I feel like that's not 100% true, because the reason you have base is because you made something in the first place. But then the reason a franchise is successful is because of the fans.
That's what I
Like,
mean.
the original Star Wars wasn't successful because there were fans of George Lucas. The original Star Wars was successful because it's an amazing, amazing movie. But The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, and especially the sequels, they are successful because of the fan base. And at that point, you have to consider, okay, what is it that makes the thing we're making speak to the fans and be respectful to that?
Exactly. And that's where I'm getting at when it comes to the Arkham games. It's like, look, not that VR is bad. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of it, but I just, when it comes to games like Batman or Superman, or when it comes to games like that, and you're playing a character, I love the character of Batman. I love playing Batman. You know what I love playing about the Arkham games is not only playing as Batman, but being able to see Batman do the things that I'm doing, watching Batman fight. A first-person Batman game? Come on.
Dude, can you imagine how much motion sickness you'll get from doing the Arkham combat in first person?
Like,
It just does not make sense.
First-person Spider-Man game. It's just, look, when it comes to, like, I know that new Blade game is supposed to be coming out soon, and I haven't heard too much more about it, but I swear to God, I saw somewhere, or someone told me, I saw that there might have been a hint of the fact that it might be a first-person shooter type game, and I would be so pissed if that's the case. Because it's like, yeah, I get it, but when I play a game like that, I want to play as the character. I don't want to be the character, I want to play as the character. But I digress. Batman Arkham, I didn't want to talk about it that much because screw that game. But yeah, no. Batman Arkham.
Let's talk about a good game. Let's talk about a game that actually looks good that's coming out with another really good combat system. Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, that looks awesome. I didn't know too much about that until you told me about it, but I watched the trailer, and I'm actually kind of interested. That gameplay, yeah.
It's like a Souls-like in the universe of Chinese mythology, and it looks so fire. Dude, like, most people, the pipeline usually goes, you watch DBZ and then you get into the Monkey King. For me, it was the opposite way around. Like, I got into, Overly Sarcastic Productions, I think, has a YouTube series on the Monkey King, and he is such a such an amazing character. Just the shit that he gets up to is really, really neat.
Yeah.
Like, his quest for getting immortality and then getting immortality 3 times over, he's such a goofy, but also awesome character. And I love that. I love the mythology. I can't wait to see what they do with Black Myth Wukong. It looks like they're making it a bit dark, which isn't the direction I would have gone with a Monkey King game, but I am 100% here for it. Like, we eating good in the Monkey King fandom.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm like, look, because I've never really like. Until recently, Wukong or like Monkey King stuff was not even really something that was on my radar that much. But these last couple of years, it's been just Monkey King, Monkey King, Monkey King everywhere. Wukong has been everywhere.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Like,
just making an appearance in a big way. Like, okay, I see you, Monkey King. But yeah,
like some executive in a suit somewhere went, wait a second, this Goku character, this cartoon my children are watching seems really popular. Let me try and make something out of the source material.
Right. And so, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I watched the trailer. It looks like it's gonna be right up my alley, the kind of game I like. You know, it's little third person fighting, combat, hack and slash. You know, looks like it's gonna be a pretty dope story. It looks amazing. The trailer had some gameplay, so I'm pretty excited for it. I'm excited.
And then, rounding it out with a game I'm a bit skeptical on, Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah, I'm interested to know why you're skeptical on it. So, like, for me, I'm excited because it kind of makes sense. Like, and after watching Shadows, I'm like, why haven't they made a Assassin's Creed that's in, you know, the Japanese culture or like rural, like feudal Japan and all that stuff? Like, that makes perfect sense. I mean, it makes
for sure.
Sense. It just
for sure
that would be the era that there would be a Assassin's Creed in. But I'm looking forward to it. It might be because I have a bias toward Japanese culture, especially Japanese ancient culture. So I'm pretty excited for that.
For sure.
But yeah, I just love Japanese culture. I know that probably makes a lot.
I think the thing for me is, right, first of all, Assassin's Creed Shadows is just Ghost of Tsushima. It's the Pepsi Ghost of Tsushima to the Coke, you know? It's like it's off-brand.
I mean,
Ghost of Tsushima.
Are you getting that from just the one trailer?
It does feel like that, and also what's really worrying me about Assassin's Creed Shadows, like at least it's really interesting that they're not doing the Mongols. I like that. I love to see it. The fact that they also have gunpowder warfare in it, like we see some muskets. I'm really into like musket warfare. So that's something that's really interesting to me. That brings me back to Assassin's Creed 3, which was my first Assassin's Creed game. I'm here for it. It's just that. So let's just think about the plot of Assassin's Creed games, right? Cast your mind back. The year is 2009, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ezio Auditore di Firenze has to go on a plot to get revenge for the deaths of his family, right?
Correct. Great game.
The year is 2010, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Ezio Auditore has to get revenge for his family. Assassin's Creed 3, Connor has to get revenge for his clan, right? Assassin's Creed Rogue, the I can't even remember the protagonist. Shay Cormac has to get revenge. It's just like every Assassin's Creed game, Unity, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla. I don't think Mirage had a revenge subplot per se. Like there is definitely death for the main character, and it's like, but it's not pure revenge plot. It's so sad to see another. Oh no, my clan / family / mentor figure you're viciously killed for being an assassin. Now I need to go on revenge. Like Assassin's Creed, please tell a new story. Like there's more than one story.
Okay. All right. That's an opinion.
It's just I like the Assassin's Creed lore
like
a lot. I wouldn't say I'm mad. It's just I'm disappointed, you know.
I know. It's go. I get it. I understand what you're saying because I know sometimes this is a good example of a franchise being like up in the air. It's a roller coaster, up and down. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But this is also a good example of a franchise that kind of leans in or learns or kind of they do their best to try to make what they want to make, but still please the fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
So
true.
they're very
It's true.
good.
Like especially Assassin's Creed Mirage. What an incredible video game.
Yeah,
I love Mirage.
They have a good way of finding middle ground that I've found, and also too, what's good about the Assassin's Creed games, with the exception of the Ezio arc, every Assassin's Creed game is its own standalone thing. Like you can play the first Assassin's Creed, the second one, third one. You can. It doesn't matter which one you play first. You're within that. You're within that. That world of that, and that's it. So this is one of those things where you can have a favorite one. You could be like, Odyssey is my favorite one, or you could say Origins is my favorite one, and it's like, okay, yeah, because each one is separate from the overarching of that, and that's what's so good about Assassin's Creed is you can put the assassins in all these different eras and
Situations and scenarios, yeah.
And that's what. And you're right though. The first Assassin's Creed was awesome, but it was like one of those things where
It was more like a trial effort. It was more like a concept game.
Assassin's Creed 2 kind of changed the game with it, and then that whole it was like Assassin's Creed 2, then Brotherhood. Oh no, not Brotherhood. Then Brotherhood, and then Revelations. So those were all still Assassin's Creed 2. So Assassin's Creed 3 then came out, and that was a completely different moving forward.
Continent even.
Yeah, it was a completely different arc. But yeah, that's where so me, Assassin's Creed 2, that SEO stuff, peak Assassin's Creed. And then after that, I haven't played Origins yet or Valhalla, but yeah. The Black Sails.
I haven't played Revelations, and I haven't finished Valhalla.
End of Desmond.
Yeah. I watched. No, was it in Assassin's Creed 3 that's the end of Desmond?
No, he's not even in Assassin's Creed 3. Oh, wait.
Are you sure?
I could be wrong. Because Assassin's Creed 3, that's the one where they're in the American Revolution, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Desmond wasn't in that one. He was dead long before that. I could be wrong. Fact check it. Wait, let's fact check it real quick. I'm gonna look it up right now on Google. All right. Is Desmond in Assassin's Creed 3? The decision to have Desmond killed off in Assassin's Creed 3 also proved controversial as well. Oh, yeah, so he was in 3. He did get killed off.
Yeah, I am remembering right. Hey, damn, you had me gaslighting myself for a moment there.
Oh, wait a minute. Assassin's Creed 3, that was not the one that was in the Revolutionary War.
It was. It's the one with Connor, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, because you play as Desmond in this game. Like you
play as
Desmond in modern day because he has all the skills,
all the tools.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. I did play this. Okay.
And then Assassin's Creed Revelations, if I know my lore right, that's the one where he's in a coma the whole time, Desmond.
Yeah, I think so. I might have to go back and redo it. But yeah, nevertheless, Assassin's Creed has always been one of those games where you can literally pick up any version of Assassin's Creed and you're gonna have a good time depending on which version you like. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
So Assassin's Creed, the Assassins, the Shadows or whatever. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And then another series with two groups fighting against each other for control of the universe throughout history, Star Wars. And the Acolyte, set in the High Republic era, which is actually, I think, where do you sit on the debate of like High Republic versus Old Republic?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really know too much about High Republic. So
yeah, I mean, it's only the book so far, really.
Look to see where the Acolyte takes place during the Old Republic, right?
High Republic era. So it's after the Old Republic, but before the prequels.
Gotcha. Okay. It looks.
For me, the thing is.
Here's what I like about it. I know nothing about it. That's what I love about it. The fact that I know
fresh concept for Star Wars.
I have no idea what it is about, what's going to be going on, who the characters are. I have no knowledge of it whatsoever, and that excites me. Now, Carrie-Anne Moss in the Star Wars universe, I don't hate that. That is actually pretty. Carrie-Anne Moss I've been a fan of hers ever since The Matrix, and yeah, but she should have been a Jedi a long time ago, if you're asking me.
For sure.
And then having
I
Rue
also,
as the assassin, what? Come on now.
you know what I love about the High Republic era? It's like Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings. It's like, what if the people in Star Wars made their buildings and dress like elves from Lord of the Rings? And it's just, they've got these golden, like, embroidered robes and these really nice looking buildings. And it's just this era of hope and peace. And it's like the glory days of the Jedi. Even before the corruption we see in the prequels takes hold.
Sure.
We've not, I mean, the very fact that there's a chance we could see Yoda in his prime, dude, I am so here for it.
That would be dope. But all in all, though, first looks that I've seen so far, I like it. However, the Acolyte was definitely a Kathleen Kennedy heavy-handed, had a lot of part to play in the Acolyte. So kind of hoping that we're not gonna get screwed by that fact. But because
I mean, Kathleen Kennedy has made good stuff. She's like the Indiana Jones movies and like this. Wait, are you saying Indiana Jones does not have good movies?
I mean, the original ones were pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, she.
But you gotta understand, like, she wasn't the full control of all those. Kathleen Kennedy's been in Lucasfilms forever, yes. However, she has, and during those times, she wasn't like in full control. Like, she wasn't the one calling all the shots. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's. I think you overestimate her power if you think she was like in full control of anything, really.
Let's put it this way. All of the debauchery of the last Star Wars of the sequels, the last ones, like, that was literally, that's a whole nother topic that we're not going to get into right now because for time reasons.
For sure.
I'm going to die on the hill that Kathleen Kennedy is the worst thing to happen to Star Wars. I'm going to die on that hill, and if you want to at me, but I'm going to die on that hill. They should just give all the reins over to, oh my God, why did I just draw a blank on
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni. Oh man, I got so excited. Dave Filoni, and just call it that. Because I mean, you got a guy, Dave Filoni, who studied everything about Star Wars. Not from just finding it online. No, he literally studied George Lucas. He was his, like, I mean, he knows.
I mean, like, the thing is, Dave Filoni made Ahsoka, which people dogged on for no reason, and Kathleen Kennedy was an executive producer on The Mandalorian. But then people are like, yeah.
They were having with that. Look at all the issues of all the things that people hated about those shows. That was a Kathleen Kennedy thing. All the things that people loved, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau. I guarantee, like, I will.
Can we 100% say that though?
Go do it. Go look it up. Go research it. We can have a whole conversation on one of the next podcasts about it, and I'll go and get all my facts checked. And I'm that type of person that, look, I have my opinions, I have my thoughts, but if I get proved wrong, I get proved wrong, and I accept that. I could be just blowing steam out of my ass because I have a bias against it. However, I will die on the hill right now. As of now, I will die on that hill. Kathleen Kennedy sucks. Screw her.
Fair enough. Fair enough. She definitely.
She has touched when it came to Star Wars, but everything Dave Filoni has had full creative control over has been awesome.
I mean, as the world's biggest Clone Wars stan, you don't need to convince me that Dave Filoni is literally God. But, like, I think the thing is, Kathleen Kennedy just made herself a target with some of the things she said in interviews. And then it just made her become a scapegoat.
I didn't really hear a lot of the interview stuff. I just saw the it's like, that's a whole topic. But yeah, no. Acolyte looks good.
Anyway,
however,
speaking of something that's entirely uncontroversial and definitely hasn't got any politics in it whatsoever, The Boys is coming back pretty soon.
That looks amazing. Like, I was watching that trailer and I felt like I needed to take a bath or a shower afterwards.
I think the thing with The Boys is so curious because people are always talking about how comic book adaptations need to be true to source material and as close to the source material as possible to be good. But then you look at something like The Boys and you go, how did they take one of the worst comic books ever made and make it an incredible show?
For real, dude. Like, when you actually go and read The Boys comics, like, it is not nothing to write home to your mom about. It's entertaining. It's
The
fun,
Boys comics are
but-
so bad. It's so cringe.
Yeah, but the show is amazing, and I'm here
It's
for it.
heat, dude.
Oh, real
It's so
quick,
good.
Side note, jumping back real quick, can we talk about lightsaber whip?
Oh man, I haven't seen a lightsaber whip since like the comics where Luke made his little Shoto lightsaber.
Yeah, so that's something I meant to say and act like. But back to The Boys now.
Speaking of whips, do you think we'll see Love Sausage in season 4?
Man, I hope not. That was unnecessary.
Oh man, I think the death count is about to like reach sky high levels.
The entire trailer is just people dying. Blood.
Oh
That's
man.
literally the entire trailer. It is absolutely crazy.
Have you seen Gen V?
No, I have not. And then I'm ashamed to say that I have not. So I'm going to get caught up on that, though, for sure.
Dude,
and
rest
then
in
we
peace,
got
Chance
freaking Morgan
Perdomo.
is in the show now, too. Like, come on. Dean Winchester and freaking, yeah.
Negan.
Negan.
Yeah, I'm really excited for The Boys season 4. I'm excited to see where they take it. I think having like the one thing about The Boys is you can't really think you know where it's going if you've read the comics because it just kind of does away with what the comics did in the best way possible. But I think I know where this season's going, especially where Homelander has the speech about be wrathful gods.
Yeah.
Like I think there is a way you can like you can spin it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm excited to see Firecracker.
Same for
For reasons, I'm gonna say I'm excited. Firecracker's character.
for sure.
For reasons. Like,
Yeah, she just looks like she's got a lot of personality.
but yeah, it's gonna be a good show. I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm excited to see Boys. It's gonna be good. I've been waiting for it. Like I said, I gotta get Gen V under my belt so I can finish that, which I could probably do that in like a night, no problem. Matter of fact, I think as Boys gets close to coming out, I'm probably gonna do just an entire season 1 to current everything, like just binge.
You should definitely also watch the ancillary media. Like, I can highly recommend Gen V.
Stuff.
In some ways, Gen V is actually better than some of what the Boys show has done. Like, it's definitely, like, at least on par with Season 3. I don't know if I'd say Gen V is as good as, like, the Season 1, Season 2, but it's definitely got a much more satisfying, complete season watch than Season 3 of The Boys.
For sure. Yeah.
And Diabolical, something really interesting about Diabolical is the fact that which is the animated series, is they had like a different animation style for every episode, which is something we've seen a lot happen recently. Love, Death, and Robots, you've got Star Wars Visions as well. It's really interesting that we're starting to see these projects where they really embrace these disparate animation styles to tell their stories.
Yeah, for sure.
And animation is, as a whole, is such a broad and like saturated medium, but in the best way possible, because you've got all these different people who see things differently. I think animation is one of the purest forms of art being communicated to an audience.
For sure.
Because you can take the author's vision and like show it in a way that it just wouldn't be possible in other mediums.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you.
Like, if you take the Spider-Verse movies, right? And that's something I really want to talk about, because I think the Spider-Verse movies are kind of the peak of Western animation. I can't think of any Western animation project that comes close to what Spider-Verse has done. Spider-Verse is in the 2010s.
when you say peak, what is your qualifications for calling it peak?
So the Spider-Verse movies push the boundaries of animation in ways that we never considered before they came out. And you always know, so like the technology they use, the 3D animation blended with comic book styles, the energy they put into the movies, and the way they take classic ideas like smear frames and apply that with modern methods to make something that's truly special and unique. It just it elevates the genre in a way that I don't think live action can do. The expressiveness, the energy, the sheer pause a screen and see something incredible that Spider-Verse does is just, I don't think there's anything that compares to it. And as we've established time and time again, we are massive Spider-Man nerds. And as a Spider-Man nerd, I am extremely critical of Spider-Man media, and I just can't see something that Spider-Verse has done wrong.
Yeah. So, but see, here's the thing. So, when you're looking at it, so are you looking at it from the standpoint of the animation itself, just the animation being the or like the storytelling using the animation?
The animation, the storytelling, the actual plot, the story they tell, and the way they tell it is incredible. Because have you read the actual Spider-Verse comics?
I have not. No, like I haven't read any of those.
So Spider-Verse is kind of revolutionary in the comics in the way that it like introduces the modern multiverse as we know it. But Spider-Verse in the comics is a little bit of a by-the-numbers crossover story. They had a bunch of characters from, well, not a bunch, they had like 2 or 3 characters from different universes that were really popular, notably Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Otto Octavius as Spider-Man at the time. And then I also think Spider-Punk was already a thing by that time, though I could be remembering wrong. I think he was. Right. But for instance, Gwen Stacy Spider-Man is someone who was invented for Spider-Verse.
Right.
And it just, the comic is very much, there's this interdimensional threat that only the Spider-Mans can face, and they face it and it's over, with the spider-sucking vampires, right?
Right.
But it's like, it's not that, it's unique, but it's not that original.
Right. See, this is going to be...
Whereas...
given this, in this specific thing, this is going to be one of those moments where I'm in a full disagreement with you. Because here's why. So I wouldn't call the Spider-Verse movies peak animation. But that's also because my criteria of like good animation isn't based off of like the animation itself. It's based off of solely based off the story being told with the animation. Because and also, too, this is also coming from my standpoint and I know you're an artist, too, but I'm coming from a standpoint as an artist as well, where I'm like, okay, I understand the subjectiveness of art. I understand that, what is cool for some people isn't cool for other people, because you look at anime as a good example of that. There's a lot of anime that I won't watch because of the art style, because it's just like, I don't like it. And there's a lot of anime that I will watch because of the art style. You know what I mean? Or the way it's animated.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, in Spider-Verse, and not to be overly critical, the first Spider-Verse movie was peak. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It was cool. The second one was mid. I didn't like it. It was like, because the first one was like, this was real. This was like, oh man, this is new. This is hot. This is cool.
And honestly, I agree with you.
It was amazing because it was like, okay, not only are we getting a nice little fresh story on the Spider-Man mythos of Miles Morales and just in general, but it was the animation style was awesome. It was comic booky. It was real. It was amazing, and I liked it. Then they brought the second one, and I'm just like, and what I feel happened in the second one, this is just my opinion, like, this is not saying this is what happened, but my interpretation, my takeaway from it is that it was a cash grab. That was my interpretation of the second movie. Like, I didn't feel the same, like, luster I felt for the first one. I didn't feel that the story was as, moving as
I think the biggest flaw with Across the Spider-Verse story is the fact that it doesn't end. The fact that it ends on the cliffhanger makes the story so much weaker for me. And I really liked Across the Spider-Verse. I really did. But, like, I don't think it holds up. I've rewatched that movie several times, and it does not hold up on rewatch, whereas Into the Spider-Verse holds up.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
of course, Across the Spider-Verse looks better.
Every time you watch Into the Spider-Verse, in my opinion, it gets better. Because, and
For sure.
Here's why it is. And this is something I think, this is where the Spider-Verse movies fell into. There's a lot of times where a movie or a game or a TV show or something will come out, whether it's live action, animated, or whatever. Every now and then something will come out that just hits right. It is like, ooh, lightning in a bottle. And there's a lot of times where it's like, you know what? Because, you know, not being able to tell the future and all that, it's sometimes really hard to know whether or not this was just lightning in a bottle or if you tapped into something. And if you don't have that feeling when you do it, I feel like then you need to stop and push back, because that's what I think happened. I think because Into the Spider-Verse was so unique and just, it was like, hey, it was fresh, it was new, it was like, okay, cool, we have something that's not been done before. But since now it's been done, now it's like, okay, now they just did the same thing, but because they just did the same thing, it's like, oh, well, we've seen this already.
And you know what? That's actually kind of a curse for Spider-Man media in general, because just after you said that, I thought of two more examples, and that's the Venom movies, and honestly, Spider-Man on the PS5. Like, Spider-Man on PS4 is one of my favorite games of all time, and even though I like the gameplay on Spider-Man 2 so much, I just don't think it just did not hit the same.
For sure. 100%, and that's a good example of where kind of what we were talking about back in the couple episodes back about the sequels and the prequels and the reboots and the things like that. It goes the same situation where it's like, yeah, sometimes you just gotta accept that what you made and what you got was good. But I understand why you do it. But then it's like, you got to understand what this is another situation, listening to the fans, listening to the feedback, the overwhelming feedback is fresh, it's new, it was awesome, it was this, you know what I mean? It's like, we have seen it before. And then how I look at it is like, okay, well, if I'm reading this, I'm seeing this is what made it good, cool, let's stick with this. However, let's not just do the exact same thing again.
Yeah, I think the thing is, when Spider-Verse 3 finally comes out, it's either going to make Spider-Verse 2 retroactively better, or you're gonna skip 2 and just watch 3 when you're doing a rewatch.
Right. And so that's where it comes with the animation. Now, as for being, like I said, animation peak. Now,
but like I said, that's why I said that I think Spider-Verse is the peak of Western animation. Because anime has always been revolutionary. It's always been pushing the boundaries. We've always seen fight scenes get better and better and better, and animation getting higher and higher and higher quality. And I don't think Western animation has done that. Like, Western animation, since Shrek has come out, right? Since Shrek has come out, Western animation has fallen into this, what I call the quote-unquote cheap DreamWorks style. And everyone has just followed that cheap 3D animation style and not really tried anything new for decades. And then Spider-Verse comes along, and it's entirely something special.
Well, see, that's the thing. Well, see, that's what I mean. Like, where you're trying to pinpoint down, like, where your criteria for this is coming from. Because, like, I would argue, so you got Arcane, you got Avatar: The Last Airbender, you have just the Cross the Universe, not Cross the Universe, Spider-Verse, there's just, the list goes on. There's all these animations that are like really cool, that are like, okay, they're good, but the story
after Spider-Verse. Arcane came out after Spider-Verse because Spider-Verse opened the door for...
Did it though? I'm pretty sure Arcane was already out.
Nah, it's 3 years after.
Is it? Well, see, here's the thing. The animation style for Arcane, I think, is a little bit different from what Spider-Verse was, because... For
sure. But I think Spider-Verse opened the door to show that people are willing to embrace animation that looks different than what they're used to. And, like, just to your point, those three you mentioned, Spider-Verse, Avatar, Arcane, do you know what those three have in common? They take inspiration from what makes anime so awesome to watch.
True. That's very true. And that's something where I agree with you on. I definitely agree with you. Oh, yeah, right. 2018, 2021. I agree with you in that, like, when I feel like a lot of the American animation stuff, if they were to take some notes from, like, Japanese animation, they would definitely have a little, I think they could really do some stuff. Because even when you look at, like I said, like, you look, like, for example, Avatar and all that stuff and those guys, and then even just you look at some of the animations that, like, were coming out with, like, I wouldn't say like Invincible, but like even Vox Machina, or not Vox Machina, yeah, Vox Machina on Amazon Prime, the way that animation style is, and just the expressiveness of it all, like those are all really good. And then if we're talking about like drawn animation or computer animation, it's two different things in and of itself. But yeah, no, I think animation is definitely good because you can do, like you said earlier, so much more with it. Like there's just so much more you can do with an animation thing. Like for example, I watched Supernatural, the show. It's amazing. I love that show. But they did something back in the beginning of the Supernatural series where they did an anime version of the show, and it was like retelling of, I think, like a couple, like 10 or like 11 or 10 episodes from the show, and the animation style of it was actually really good because like, oh yeah, because they couldn't do this in the show, they were able to do it in the animation, like the fighting and the way the ghost did certain things, because there's no restraints when it comes to animation.
In animation,
I like it,
and that's why I will die on the hill that animation will always have a higher potential than live action, because there are some things the human body just can't do.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's done right and it's done effectively, you get movies like Shrek, you get things like, Arcane, you get things like Into Spider, like when you get, I mean, heck, even looking at like a lot of the Star Wars animation stuff, look at the Clone Wars. I mean, that animation style in of itself was kind of new for it when that came out, and that animation style was something that like got developed over the years, and like I've seen that happen in other things. It's very crude, it's very basic, but again, it's not just the animation that did it, it's the stories behind it, and that's where it gets,
and speaking of crude animation with the story behind it, Invincible. Like, if you look at Invincible as still frames, or if you look at the animations in a vacuum, Invincible is not that well animated, and I am a massive Invincible shill, as you know. Right. But it's got that almost Young Justice animation style.
Oh, Young Justice! Don't even get me started. That's a great animation style. There you go. That is good. That is a good one. The whole
and Young Justice is one of my favorite series of all time. Yeah, I love Young Justice.
Animation style. The way they do that, it's so cool, so legit. Anytime an animation
it's
style,
sleek.
If I'm watching it and like I see the movements and it looks like, oh yeah, it looks like someone's actually doing that. Yeah, that's cool. Like, yeah, Young Justice is.
But like, I think the thing is the characters and the story and the stakes is what makes Invincible good. Like, people don't watch Invincible like for the fight scenes. You watch Invincible because you want to know what happens.
Right. And you know what is funny about Invincible? Like, if you for anyone has, I mean, spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched the new season. Like, at this point, if you haven't watched it, then you're kind of just, you don't want to watch it, or you just don't care, because it was really good. There was a lot that happened with all the flying from plant and the awards. But the funniest thing and the best part about the new season, in my opinion, was when he went to the convention and he was talking to the creator of that dog Doctor Strange thing, and he was like, talking about he's like, yeah, like, well, here they basically would address the fact of like why the show took so long to come out in the first place, and why it is the way. He's like, oh yeah, sometimes if you want to do this, and if you want to make the character talking but you don't want to waste too much time on animation, you just have them covering their mouth. And then they kept going back to he had his mouth covered, and they were doing it. I was like, and then sometimes because there's no fight scenes, you can spend more time on still scenes and make it look really, really detailed. And then they show Mark, and he's got like just sparkling eyes, it's crispy clean. It's like, oh yeah, this is super meta, but I appreciated it because it's like that is another way of like creators being like, look, we hear you,
we know,
we know, we understand. You know what I mean? It was like they explained to us everything they knew, and answered all our questions by just making it a part of the show. Like, yeah, it was so cool. But yeah, even that, like I said, the animation is good, but like, there's a lot of times during that animation where you're watching the show, it's like, yeah, you could see where it's like, okay, they didn't really have a big budget for that, but like they really go all out for the fights, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, kind of like the DBZ or anime philosophy where you save your budget for the fight scenes.
Right.
And I'm really excited for Invincible Season 3 as well. I hope that comes out a bit sooner than Season 2.
Right.
But, like, if you want to take a look at how animation has developed, I think there is no better way to track the development, or rather the like, how the evolution of animation has happened than with Batman.
animated series, right?
Because like you have like Batman the Animated Series back in the day with the DCAU, with Bruce Timm stuff, and how they kind of revolutionized how animation was done, because back in the day you had to like draw every frame, and how every other show or movie or whatever did it is they drew the thing, then they colored it, and they filmed it. But for Batman, they wanted it to feel different. They wanted it to feel dark. So instead of drawing the show on white paper, they drew it on black paper and colored that.
Sure. Yeah, and then
Which is how you get those deep shadows and stuff. Yeah.
They did that for the backdrops. All the characters themselves were drawn by hand and animated that, and that's all they really did. Just had it on thing. But yeah, that's another good. And they kind of revolutionized the simplified version of things, because you look at that, then you move up to the Superman show. Then they really altered it again for the New Adventures of Batman and Superman,
and then the Justice League series and Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, and all that came out, and then it became what it is, and now even the new. So yeah, there's definitely something to be said when it comes to animation and the superhero genre for exactly for sure.
And then you have like the early 2000s era of animation where you had the show was called The Batman. I don't know if you've seen it.
I do remember The Batman. Yeah, that was more of like a Clone Wars type animation.
No, it was more like it was Teen Titans.
Yeah. The Batman. Yeah. That Sunday.
Dude, that show was fire.
That was a good show. That was people sleep on that. That is a very, very well deserved and very everybody should go watch that, because that was good. It was like the Sunday morning cartoon CW or not CW or WB. Like, yeah, I remember that one. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. He had that big long cape, and yeah, that was good. That was a good animation.
And then we have my favorite version of Batman in any media, and that is Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Hey man, okay, that's an opinion.
Like, the way they did Batman in that show, the way they did that show in general, the way they had every character allowed to be this boisterous, larger-than-life character, allowed to have their own personality and style and flair. And like I said when we were talking about it, like, this was my introduction to Green Lantern and Green Arrow. This Guy Gardner and Green Arrow, this is the way I got to learn those characters. And like Blue Beetle, who's now one of my favorite superheroes of all time, and Red Tornado, they came from this show for me. Right. Like, this is where I know them from. And the way they showed Batman as this serious but just character who wasn't afraid to crack a joke, but he could also, like, he was always prepared. Like, Batman in this show, you could never get him down, because he always found a way. And like, the way I explain this show, it's like a more action-oriented version of Adam West Batman.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I was thinking about it as you were talking, and I'm even looking at a picture, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, no. Brave and the Bold was actually a pretty decent animation style, because it made sense, because it felt like you were watching the original, like, how it was back in the
Silver Age comics.
Yeah, exactly. All the characters were drawn how they were back then. Like, the Batman character itself is basically the Adam West Batman, and yeah, so that you're right. I will give you that. Brave and the Bold was pretty dope when it comes to that.
And like, just the storytelling in that show was the most comic booky show I've ever seen, because it just, the way they told the stories was very much comic formula. They had, like, for instance, I remember distinctly, this was also my first introduction to Plastic Man, but there was an episode where they go to an alien planet to help Adam Strange, and they had the Freedom Fighters, which is this knockoff superhero group, and one of the Freedom Fighters is literally Uncle Sam, and eventually Plastic Man saves the day by singing Yankee Doodle to give Uncle Sam more power so that they can beat up the aliens.
That's hilarious.
Like, this show is, and I know I've used this term at least twice this episode, but it's peak fiction. Yeah. Like, it's just a pure great time. And then there was the 3D animated Batman that was called Beware the Batman.
Yeah,
have you seen that?
Yeah, that one wasn't too... I didn't like that one much. I mean, it was cool and all, but I was like, yeah, this seems like it was just...
It wasn't for me.
It was like hey, we just tried this thing out. What do you think? You know, that's kind of how I felt about that one, but yeah. I gotta say...
And then also, we've got to take a moment to talk about the GOAT. The very best depiction of Batman ever put to screen.
Which is?
which is Will Arnett as the Lego Batman in the Lego
Oh my
Batman movie.
God. You making jokes. That's hilarious.
Nah, dude, Lego Batman movie is so good. It's heartfelt. It's it's got the emotional moments. It's got moments of action. The animation is incredible and a spectacle to look at. The way they poke fun at the comic genre without making it seem like they're like actually making fun of it. They're like having fun with the comic book genre without teasing it, you know?
100%. And I think though that's just Lego in general. I mean, like I think that's what makes the Lego franchise movie franchises good enough. It's that because it's you're going to it. You're looking. It's a Lego movie. Like you're not going to this. If you're going to this expecting you're gonna get, like a legitimate. Like when they do the Lego Batman or that stuff, yeah, it's a very good. Will Arnett did a good job as portraying this version of Batman, and I feel like Will Arnett was the perfect choice for that. Like when I
For
saw
sure.
the original Lego movie, I was like, oh yeah, no, this makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And like, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say something else about a different type of animation, but go ahead, finish what you were gonna say.
So the thing is, right, with the Lego Batman movie, I think with Lego, and that's another really good, one of the strongest parts of animation. You're watching the Lego Batman movie, it's goofy, it's silly, you're just kind of having a good time. So then by the end of the movie, when they have that really emotional moment, that shit hits all the harder because you weren't expecting it. Like the fact that the animation can make you care so much that a Lego movie makes you
Yeah.
tear up, that is a strength.
Well, I didn't get teared up on that. I mean, I definitely was like, oh, that's awesome. But that actually, I'm glad you said that because that's actually what I was getting ready to say was now we're talking about animation with all the superheroes and all that stuff and all that. Like now, I really love it when animation. When you're watching something where it's not like all this stuff with superheroes, all this stuff we were talking about, those are meant to be campy and things like that. Now, when you get a series or a show or a movie that gives you like genuine emotions that are like, okay, this is cool, this is real, we're talking real stuff here, and
Like Arcane.
Arcane, exactly. Like when you talk about like me, I will probably say for me as of right now, when it comes to just I don't want to say adult animation, but just animation and just story, just in general, I feel like Arcane is a very legitimate up there with the top like peak when it comes to storytelling, animation, all that stuff. Because I remember
For
watching
sure.
Arcane being like, because I was never really a big League of Legends person. I mean, I've heard of it. I
I've
knew
never played League
I
of
knew
Legends.
they did the tournaments. I knew they made some dope music when it come to the tournaments. So when it came to League of Legends, I knew nothing, which was cool about going into Arcane, not knowing anything about any of the characters that were being depicted in there. Now, obviously, this story of Arcane is a offshoot of the League of Legends kind of story, but watching it for the first time, I remember I watched it late. I didn't watch it when it first aired because I had no interest in it. I was like, whatever, I don't really care. But I started hearing people talk about it, and I'm like, all right, whatever, fine. So luckily for me, I was able to watch it after all 9 episodes had been dropped because I remember they released it in like episodes of 3. So it was like they released 3 this week, then they released 3 later, and then they released the last 3 after that. So I went and I was like, all right, let me just watch this Arcane show. When I tell you, man, I got locked episode 1, and then I just kept watching. I kept hitting next because I had to stop. And then episode 3 happened, and literally, dude, when I was watching, I'm just like, I forgot I was watching an animated show. I forgot I was watching any show. I was just immersed. I was sitting there shocked. And if this is spoilers for Arcane, if you haven't seen Arcane yet, it's been years. So again, that's on you. But when Powder comes in, is like, I'm gonna help him. I'm finally gonna help him, and then she blows everybody up. I did not see that coming. I was jaw to the ground the whole time watching that scene. I was like, oh my god.
I felt that though. I felt that.
She killed everyone, and she smacked her. She was like, and then when she was trying to go back to her, and then she got pulled back, and then oh my god, and then Jinx becoming Jinx, and I'm like, because episode 4 was, yeah, that that show is flawless in my opinion. Like there is nothing I can find wrong with that show between the story.
I
the
didn't
music,
love the
animation.
ending.
The ending was the best part for me. The ending was the best part for me because it's like, oh my gosh, she literally like she has no idea what she did, and that's like it. Just really, it's like yeah, she's Jinx. There's a reason why her character, like she legitimately, everything that they were trying to accomplish, the underground becoming its own state, its own thing, and they were like everything that was being fought for the entire show was literally about to happen, and she's just like, yep, no, I'm killing it, and it's like, no, I was like, Jinx, don't do it, no, and she did it, and then the song that was playing, because not only that was it a good animation for me, not only was it a good story for me, but the soundtrack for the show was
the sound, except for Imagine Dragons. The Imagine Dragons songs are pretty cringe.
The Imagine Dragons song, that was just for promotional stuff. I'm talking about in the actual show, the actual track and the songs and the orchestra.
Didn't they? Yeah, they had an Imagine Dragons song in the show as well. I think they had a few. I think there was 2. No, for sure.
They had the enemy one, but that was like the promotional stuff. They didn't actually have.
No, it was in the show. I'll find it for you, but like they had an Imagine Dragons song playing in the background of the actual show. I think it happened twice.
It might have been in the background as like a no, but I'm talking about the actual.
No, during fight scenes, and during one, I remember there was one moment that really took me out of it, where the Imagine Dragons song started playing right where it was like a really emotional fight scene. I think it was it Vi versus like Silco's like main lady. I think it was that, like in the bar.
Maybe, I don't know. You have to look it up because I don't remember.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, look it up because.
But yeah, no, they definitely had Imagine Dragons in Arcane.
They definitely, for sure. I know that at one point they were walking through the town and there was like a cameo of the animated versions from the music video that kind of was playing on a radio, like, you know, as they walked by. But the music I'm talking about and the sound that I'm talking about is the sound of the, like, how when they were fighting, when they had like the Jinx versus oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on the boy's name? Anyway, the guy on the childhood friend, the kid, I forgot his name. Anyway, it's been a while since I watched the episode. Either way it goes, the music was good, and the ending was so good with that song playing. It was like Vi's crying and screaming for her to stop. She's just looking, the tear coming out of her eye, the way it pauses when she shoots, and then it's like the way it ends, and you see her like glow, and it's just dark. Oh my gosh, I was so locked in. That in of itself, that show created so many emotions in me that I was like, yeah, I can't wait. Now the new second season's coming out soon. Oh, it's about freaking time. So yeah.
Yeah, dude, and I think the thing is with Arcane is they had such an excellent story. I was locked in the whole way through. Yeah, and then, do you know what the thing about the ending is that I didn't like?
What?
It's the exact same thing that I didn't like with Across the Spider-Verse. The show doesn't end. Like, it's not an ending. It's just like a to be continued.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, that's a show. That's what they do. Like, when you have
No, I hate that, dude. Can you imagine if at the end of Indiana Jones, right? At the end of Indiana Jones, like right as he puts the Ark of the Covenant like into the museum, like then Sean Connery like walks up to the thing and he like puts on his glasses and like just starts walking up. You'd be like, what the heck was that? Where's this going? It like I hate it when they feel so insecure in the product they've made that they feel the need to shove this unnecessary like continuance in there to make sure like, please let us get a season 2. Please let us get a season 2. I know our show was literally the best thing you've ever seen the whole way through, but let's just ruin it here at the end by not making it have a good ending.
Okay. I feel like you're not understanding how stuff works when it comes to that. Like, that's the whole point of doing shows and doing things. Like, if you are planning and you want to have multiple seasons of a show and you want to keep it going, you got to create the need for the fans to want to keep it going. Like, that's what the whole
that doesn't make it good.
That's why cliffhangers exist for the like, if you know for a fact that this, like, for example,
That doesn't make it good.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying it makes it good. I'm saying it's part of the process. Like, having the show.
I know why it's there.
But I'm saying, like, but having that happen in Arcane is okay, cool. Now it's like, what's gonna happen? Like, Arcane was always meant to be a long-going thing. Like, for example, you look at Avatar: The Last Airbender. They ended that. That's what, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender. It was meant to start and end the way they hit it. Like, there was no things. They didn't put like, because that was it. They completed what they were trying to complete. That's what the purpose of. But. And you look at some of the, I mean, heck, you even look at, like, for example, Supernatural. Every last season episode of Supernatural ended on a cliffhanger. Ended on a cliffhanger so much you're like, oh my God, what's about to happen? It brought me back. Because back then,
like, I get that. I get the justification. I understand why it's there. I understand why they do it. But that, it didn't ruin the show for me. I wouldn't say that. But, like, I feel like it's so sad to me that I watched the show that was so incredible the whole way through, and then just had this milquetoast weak-ass ending. It just, I really felt, cheated, man.
Let me ask you a question then. Is that how you feel about just everything, movies, TV shows, live action, cartoons in general when they do that?
Yeah,
just this show.
I hate that stuff.
Wow.
I hate that stuff. The only exception I have to this rule, yeah, like, as someone who does a lot of writing and a lot of reading.
Invincible endings, then, is what you're saying. You hate how every season
no, and there's a difference.
What? How is
right?
that different?
So the way Invincible season 1 ends, right? It has a definitive end to the arcs of all the characters in it up to that moment, and then it sets up that the world continues despite that. Right? If Invincible did not get a season 2,
it ends literally
talking to Alan the alien, yeah, and then all of the villains that were still in the world are back to their regular shenanigans, right? Sure, but that it doesn't, like, it doesn't ruin what the emotional arcs of the show were, right? We get a form of closure for what happened between Mark and his dad. Even though there is definitely stuff that's still unresolved, it's left open for discussion in a new season. And, like, I still don't love the way they ended. I would have preferred, like, a more solid ending, but I feel like that's the best way you can do it in a long-form storytelling. But also, I feel like I can't be objective with Invincible because I've read the comics and I know where it goes. So I would have been fine if Invincible didn't get a second season because I know how the story ends. With Arcane, it feels like they stopped right before there was a resolution. And that's what annoys me. The fact that there was no definitive, or not even definitive, it's fine if things are left a little bit ambiguous, like with Blade Runner, which is another one of my favorite movies. But I want there to at least be a closure to the theme of the story. And the fact that Jinx and Violet don't have, like, an ending to their argument, they just kind of stop arguing and then Jinx blows up the council, that annoys me because it's like they don't tell the story to its end. They just stop in the middle.
Well, that's the thing, though. That story, that was Jinx's ending to her origin. Like, now we have the Jinx that is gonna be the Jinx moving forward. Like, this Jinx has the whole. Like, I would like to argue, and I don't know if other people agree with this. Arguably, I would like to say that the entirety of the Arcane show was the origin story of Jinx. Everybody
for sure, I get that.
Like, it was her origin story. Like, there were so many points from the beginning, the first episode of when she was powered to when she's Jinx, because throughout the series, and this is what I took from it. Now, this is why I think it was a great conclusion to this arc, because what I got from it, every episode with Jinx, I was like, there was always a piece of it where it's like, okay, Jinx is coming back. Like, she's going to, like, Vi's gonna get her, like, because again, I didn't know anything when it came to the characters from League of Legends. I don't know what the characters are in their games or what they're based off of. I'm just going it based off of his first time. So every time there was a character, I'm like, okay, I'm like, okay, is this the thing? Is this where is Vi and Jinx, is this Jinx coming back? Is this Jinx? It was like there was a back and forth of like, is she gonna go dark side or dark light? Is she gonna go? Then at the end, at that dinner, when they had the two chairs, it was like that was it. She officially Powder's dead. Now Jinx is here. She's embracing Jinx, and now Jinx is Jinx. There is no more Powder. There is no more Vi's sister. Jinx is now who she is. She just killed the only person that ever truly accepted her. And she just accepted, and that's why they show her, and why when you look at the art depiction, the way they frame her sitting in the Jinx chair, it's like, and the way the music played when she did that, it was like, this is it. She is now Jinx.
But like
moving forward, she is now she's the antagonist. She's the villain. She's the Jinx is it. So, and now the sugar on top was like, okay, now I'm embracing this. They're the reasons why I'm getting rid of them, and boom. That's why. And
I feel like a version of that ending that actually worked for me is the ending of Batman, the movie, right? Because at the end of the Batman,
which movie?
With Robert Pattinson.
Ugh. Okay.
Right? So the ending of that movie, they finished with the Riddler's plot. That's over. And then they introduce the Joker. They show how he and the Riddler are like getting up to stuff. And they end like, they don't end in the middle of the story. They end like in the beginning of the next part of the story. You know, because like Batman and Catwoman go their separate ways, but it goes to show like, oh, there's always something happening in Gotham. Gotham will always need Batman to do the next thing. But it doesn't end in a way where Batman doesn't get to the end of his arc. Vi, her arc just stops. She doesn't get resolution for the guilt she feels about what she did to Powder. She doesn't get a resolution to come to terms with Powder now being Jinx. She doesn't get a resolution with reconciling her heritage from the underground with reconciling her new friendships and like trying a method of peace that she's made in with like I don't remember her name. Her girlfriend, Abigail, I think is her name.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Like So the and like for Jinx, she doesn't get a well. I think from all of the characters, Jinx gets the quote unquote the best ending because at least she realizes what she is and accepts that, and she kind of starts her new journey as that character. So that is the only part of the ending I liked. But for everyone else, it just stops in the middle.
Right, but if you
we don't know who in the council lives and dies. Right. We don't get a resolution for all the characters. Like we don't know what is going to happen next. We don't know where this is going. It's just like cut off.
That's the point. But that's the point.
But it's not good.
That is. That's 100% the point.
No. I feel like you're missing my point.
No,
my point is the way.
It, but like it's like okay, I think it's one of those things where I'm not discrediting what you're saying. This is your interpretation of that. Like. Don't take that as me discrediting what you're saying. But it's like, this is a discussion. I'm just saying, like, man, like, I feel like looking at it from your point of view, yes, I understand why you're upset. Looking at it from your point of view. And this is why I think, too, like, backtracking, it is a matter of interpretation, which goes back to our original topic of the podcast is animation has a way of doing this sometimes that just
and making us care.
Right. You care that much about it because of the show. And it's like
because of how good it was. So it's so frustrating where I went 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 the whole show, and then the last 30 seconds is like a 7 out of 10. That feels so much more underwhelming. You know what I mean?
In regards to Arcane, let me ask you this question. When you were watching from episode 1 to the last episode, who were you more invested in? What character or characters were you more invested in?
Honestly, I really liked what was his name? The inventor guy. Victor. Victor was he really grabbed me. Like of most of the characters, I love most of the characters in the show. Like, I can't think of a single character that I straight up disliked. I loved Silco. Right, I loved Vi.
Okay. But, like, at the end...
But, like, I feel like Victor and Jace and Vi were... Caitlyn, that was the girl's name. Sorry, Caitlyn, my brain.
Caitlyn,
not Abigail. So Jace's story, after everything that's happening with Victor, Jace's story was one that I was really invested in. Vi's story was one I was really invested in.
Okay.
Jinx's story was one I was really invested in. And then at the ending, it feels like out of all of these characters that I've really grown to care about, only one gets an ending. The rest are just kind of left up to like whatever the producers decide to do with season 2.
Right. And see, and okay, and that's the reason why I asked the question. So looking at it from that standpoint of, so when you watched the show, you were invested in all of these characters. So naturally not getting a conclusion to all of the characters would make you react that way. Now me, and this is why I think why I'm saying it was a good ending and it worked, because my thing from episode 1, I was invested in Powder and Jinx's story. Like that was the like
I can see that.
when I go back to watching it again or thinking about it, that was what I was locked in. Every time the stuff with Vi and Chase and all that stuff, I always felt those were just like secondary stories happening, because even if you look at their stories, Jinx was legitimately the centerpiece of everyone's story. Like she was directly attached in one way, shape, or form, and causing the effects of what every single character's motivations were throughout the entirety of the show. And so I was locked in on that, because you think about it, like, you know, when it comes to, God, why can't I think of the boy's name? Or the guy, what's the dude on the board's name?
Chase?
No, not Chase, the black kid.
Echo.
Echo, yes. So when you think about it, so you look at Vi. Vi's whole purpose was to find Powder and bring Powder back. Caitlyn's whole arc was trying to stop Powder or stop Jinx, because Jinx is causing all this stuff. So Caitlyn almost lost her job, or did lose her job because of Jinx. So she's trying to. Chase is trying to fix everything that's happening because Jinx is using all these explosions, using the same science that him and Victor are working on to do the things. And then you got, it's like literally you go down the list of every single character that's in this show, every single one of them, their story, that what they're doing is a direct, directly affected by what Jinx is doing. Because every time
I feel like you're.
That's
my reading on it was. My reading on it was that Jinx was a physical manifestation of the systemic issues that the world of Arcane sets up. Like, the world of Arcane sets up this system that's incredibly oppressive and unfair to the common man. And Jinx is an expression of the common man having enough, breaking, and deciding to break the system.
Yeah, but see, that's crazy. That's what you got from it, because I got it completely different from that.
It's like, so with systemic oppression, you've got this idea that the world will fight back against oppression in a not a subconscious, because the world is not alive, but it will have symptoms, right? You'll have riots and this kind of thing. So right. I feel like Jinx was a microcosm of the symptoms of oppression.
Right. See, here's where I got from that. I look at Jinx as Heath Ledger's Joker. No reason, no rhyme, no nothing. She just had her own motivations for what, because she could care less.
But that's the thing. Everything Jinx does has a reason. For like her
reason, not like the world's reason.
Yeah, her internal reasons, right? But the thing is, she wouldn't have, like, everything that happens to Jinx is because of the world she lives in. She had to grow up with only Vi, and then she had to grow up like thieving to like do anything, and she had to grow up knowing that everyone around her doesn't think she's worth anything. She's not able to do the things, right? And then as the story goes, she's a symptom of Silco's empire. She's a symptom of the unwellness and the distrust and the expression of anger in the underground against the surface. Like, these things are deeply ingrained in her being. And even though she's not necessarily doing like, oh, I'm gonna blow these people up because of the systemic issues that I'm facing, it's like, because of the systemic issues she's facing, she was put in a position where her mental state is to such an extent where she will blow these things up. Just, first of all, for a primary reason, for her quote-unquote father figure's approval, but secondary reason because she wants to. She wants to like cause these explosions and chaos.
Yeah, she gave no F's about anything. Even when it came to Silco, she cared about Silco for sure. And that was another. Okay, see, I take it back. That's another thing about. And oh my God, we should have been talking about Arcane from the beginning because everything we're talking about animation, Arcane, in my opinion, is the peak Western of animation because it has everything.
Yeah.
Because you look at it, even Silco, like. He's the bad guy, quote unquote, of the show, but realistically, no, he isn't. Like, he is doing what that's the thing I like it. When you got a bad guy who's doing the thing because he believes what he's doing is going to be the betterment of, like, it's like, there's so many layers, but even how she was with him, like, because even the way she killed him at the end, it was like, at the end, when she shot him, that was a moment of Powder, because he was about to shoot her sister, and then she became Powder and shot him, and then immediately realized, oh my God, I just killed the only person in my life who has ever truly saw me for who I am, which then led her to become the thing. She's like, no, this is who I am. Powder was weak, Jinx is strong. Jinx was loved, Powder was hated, and now she became Ning. She's like, you know what? Yeah. But oh my God, there's layers. This show, man, this show is amazing. I can't wait for the second season. Like, we could go on and on and on. Because, like,
we can be talking for another hour about just Arcane.
Because I mean,
but like,
it
just
really is a good depiction of storytelling, of the animation style, like, and like when her and Echo were fighting, because they were good friends as kids, you know what I mean? They were like good, and it's like the back and forth of the like time frame was like they're showing it, and it's like the clock is ticking, and they're kids again, and they're like, it's so beautiful.
And like, just to be true to my own values and not make myself a hypocrite, just to end my argument about endings, have you seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners?
No, I have not.
You need to watch that show.
I mean, I don't know much about the Cyberpunk universe, but yeah.
But it does exactly what I want an ending to do. It puts all of the characters in a place where their ending is not necessarily final, but it shows that the world continues after the story ends, but the story still ends.
But that's also a one-off thing, though. Like, there's no. It's not like they're planning on making more of the show. It was like. You know what I mean?
The best kind of ending is one where there's no necessity to make more after it, but if you made more after it, it would be better. For instance, Star Wars, the first Star Wars, right? That ends not with the Empire completely destroyed, but it ends in a place where the story is over, but the world continues, and then in Empire you can pick that back up.
Right, 100%. And that's, again, like, because in that situation, though, there was never going to be like the whole Star Wars: A New Hope, or the first Star Wars movie. George Lucas made it. He literally was just like, I want to make this because I want to make it. We don't have plans for more, and da-da-da-da. But to that argument, though, then he did make Empire Strike Back, and it did become a legit, and it became like, holy crap, we have something. And then everything from that point forward has had cliffhangers.
And even the godfather of our generation, Iron Man 1, right? Iron Man 1 is a perfect movie from beginning to end. The story ends at the end of Iron Man, but the world continues and it leaves it open. Like, if we never got another movie past Iron Man, you could still watch Iron Man at any time and be happy that that was the ending.
Right, and that was a lot of the first original Marvel movies. But, again, that was also... everything, like, once the success of what they were doing came, then everything became like yeah. But again, that is an option where even that ending was a cliffhanger, because especially if you're a fan of the comics, it's like, well, like, Iron Man, the character, he becomes Iron Man, and he's secret identity Iron Man. He's got a bodyguard that's Iron Man, or all of the, nobody knows that Tony Stark is Iron Man except for a few people. So him being like, I am Iron Man, and then the credits start rolling. It's like, whoa, wait, what? He just told everybody.
But that doesn't make it. That's not a cliffhanger. Like that implies. No. Listen. That implies things with the world happening, right? That implies that now the status quo has changed, and things will have to happen because of that. But you can be happy picturing what that ambiguous ending will be. Same with Blade Runner. Whereas Arcane, it's like, this revolution was on a knife's edge, and Powder lit the flames, and then it's over. Like, the difference is, in Iron Man, you can kind of, like, you can be like, oh, I think I can know where this is going to happen. I think I can be satisfied knowing I won't get a resolution to this eventually, because it's not necessary. Whereas in Arcane, it absolutely is necessary. Like, if we didn't get a sequel to Iron Man, it would have still worked as a movie. If we don't get a sequel to Arcane, then rewatching that story, you know nothing happening matters, because in the end, it's in the same place as they were in the beginning. The people are still revolting, the top side is still making everyone's lives hell, and the characters are still in a position where they don't know what's gonna happen next.
Right.
Whereas in Iron Man, at least you know, okay, for the Iron Man story theoretically could end there, and then it would be okay. Like, there's nothing he still needs to do at that point, but there's so much he could do. Where in Arcane, there's so much they still have to do, and even more they could do. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I see that. No, I definitely have been. Yeah, I see your side of it 100%. Like, I definitely understand your logic behind it. I do.
And I also really understand your point. If you look at Arcane as Jinx's story, if you just read it that way, then it has a satisfying conclusion, because
Right.
it ends with Jinx's character arc manifest. So I see your point as well.
Yeah,
I
and
see your
that's
point.
where-
Like, it's a
and that's
satisfying
where-
conclusion for Jinx.
Oh, for sure. And that's where, too, and things like this, and then again, how I'm looking at it is like, okay, cool. Because now, so now we have, this is the conclusion, the Jinx arc. Jinx is who she is. Now, we can literally now, the next season, it's like legit, like, okay, now she's the villain. Like, okay, now we can get a Vi story. And then after that, like, once that concludes, then we can get another season. Let's get a Chase story. Like, honestly, depending on what their plan is, which I don't know what it is, I'm here for it either way. But if we, me personally, if we never got another Arcane season, yeah, I want one, but I'd be okay with it. I'd be content. But that's just my look at it. Because then you got, like I said, this is what I mean. Shows, cartoons, movie. This is what I like in entertainment. This conversation we just had about Arcade is what I live for when it comes to these things. Because look at what happened. We had different points of view, but it was like, no, our points of view weren't like, oh, I'm wrong, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. No, it's like, you watched it and got this. I watched it and got this. And it's like, this is what I mean. The discussion we just had on the show, because of this show, is the exact example why. Because Arcane is a beautiful show. The
Absolutely.
Arcane, the animation style of it, the story of it, every time something happened, and the way, like, whenever Jinx was doing something, and you could, and the way they depicted her, like, about to break, it would be the flashes and the, like, just crude, crazy drawings of her friends, you know what I mean? They weren't like, they were just, like, obscure. It was like, it would just shake, and it was like, ah! Or she's talking to the toys, and their shadows are just kind of in the background, like, talk about... yeah, you can't do this kind of stuff in anything other than
Arcane is absolutely perfect when it comes to show, don't tell.
For real, it is legit. It is, honestly, and regardless of how you feel the ending is from anybody's point of view, like, arguably, this is one of those ones where I want people to comment in the comment section that watch this, like, give us your thought on the Arcane thing. And, like, I know Arcane,
absolutely.
I know Arcane, it's been years since Arcane's been out, and or 2 or 3 years. I know that, but clearly it's still an impactful show because of the way we're talking about it right now, and the fact that the new season's getting ready to come out is absolutely crazy. And we'll link all that in the description of this video of, like, all the stuff that we talked about. But yeah, no, Arcane is, in my opinion, that's peak animation, Western animation. And
absolutely,
you get stuff like the conversation that you can, yeah. I was gonna say Avatar: Last Airbender, but no, like, nah. Avatar: Last Airbender is another good example of a good show. That's another good example of, like, there's a start, there's a finish, and we got it. We got the end, we got what we get. There's been a conclusion, and then there's still room for moving on, because then we got Legend of Korra, which a lot of people don't like, but I liked. Now, don't even get me started. Like, Leaves from the Vine. Woo! Talk about crying.
Yeah.
I've never cried so hard in a cartoon before seeing that. But yeah, so yeah, man.
And I think next week we're gonna talk about what's my other pick for the peak of Western animation. So if I had to have, like, the Mount Rushmore of modern animation, I would put Spider-Verse, depending on how well the third one does, I might strike that head from the mountain. But like Spider-Verse and Invincible in the way it tells stories, Arcane absolutely at the peak of that mountain, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then what we're going to talk about next week, X-Men 97.
Yeah,
I believe
that's gonna be a
X-Men
good one.
97 is like, does everything I want an animated series to do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I believe it is. It was a good, and I'll just say this: when it comes to X-Men '97, I like that they did it the way they did it. See, they didn't just pander; they didn't just try to recreate and make what we loved as kids. They just took what we loved as kids and was like, "Hey, we understand that you were kids when you watched the original series, but we understand too. You're grown adults now, in your late 20s and 30s." We're going to give you an adult show. We're going to give you what you loved, but it's going to be more mature now because you're a more mature audience. Perfect, man.
They basically just said, we're just gonna give you a cool ass show.
Yeah. So yeah, we're done it. So yeah, next week's episode 6, is going to be the review of the last 5 episodes of X-Men 97. So that's going to be pretty dope.
And whoo boy, am I ready for it. But since I did the intro this week, it's only fair that you say my signature line.
I don't know what it is. I forgot what it was because you change it every week.
Well, fair enough. I guess I'll just say that the real weekly element was the fight we'll have next week.
For sure. Well, and then also too, yeah, just check. We have a lot of things coming down the pipe too. So for those of you listeners, we're getting a website made. We're about to have a separate YouTube channel dedicated to specifically the weekly element. We're gonna have actual audio versions. So we got a lot coming into the pipeline. So keep an eye out for that. As we develop it,
and hats.
I think we should make apparel. I'm gonna be real with you. The symbol that you created, the logo, is legit. I think we should start making apparel. We'll get there, but
I need a hat. I'm just gonna say it.
Weekly Element hat, Weekly Element shirts, Weekly Element merchandise. That's coming. So there's a lot happening. We're taking this serious, and everybody that is listening to us right now, and everyone who is following us and who will continue to follow us, these first couple of episodes and are locked in, you guys are going to be appreciated and respected, and we appreciate you, and we know you could be doing so much else, but thank you for listening, and yeah. And
if you're in the market for a hat, just stay posted. We'll let you know.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good conversation. Next week, X-Men 97, the last 5 episodes review. And, well, yeah. Hope you guys have a good week. Hope everything's going good. Any last thoughts on you?
See you next week.
All right. Later.